Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
Today, the trillion-dollar war for AI compute leaves Earth's orbit, NASA goes under the knife for $1 billion in savings, and we find out if a golden retriever can teach an AI how to cry.
I have to admit, looking at the feeds this morning, the signal-to-noise ratio is just off the charts. We are seeing these fundamental shifts in infrastructure, in government, even in how we process human emotion.
It really feels like we're watching the source code of the next decade get written in real time.
Exactly.
And as usual, I'm here to debug that code, check the thermal limits on some of these physics claims, and ask the uncomfortable questions, about who is actually paying for all this.
Yeah.
Because it's usually us.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start with the lead story. It is this absolute clash of strategies we saw brewing all day yesterday. We are talking Elon Musk versus Sam Altman, and the battlefield has now officially moved to space.
It was inevitable, really. I mean, we've run out of power on Earth, so of course the billionaires are looking up.
So we saw this viral thread from @HeyShrudha and it's breaking down a new interview Elon gave to Dorkesh Patel. And the predictions Elon is making are, they're specific and they are aggressive.
Very aggressive.
He is claiming that within 30 months...
30 months.
Yeah, 2.5 years, space-based AI compute is going to dominate the industry.
That is an incredibly tight window for orbital infrastructure.
He's talking about putting 1 million data center satellites into orbit. And get this, launching Starship 10,000 times a year to get them up there.
Okay, 10,000.
The core argument is all about energy. He says solar power in orbit is 5 times more efficient than on Earth. No atmosphere, no nighttime if you pick the right orbit.
Right. And look, let's strip away the hype for a second and look at the thermodynamics here, because this is where the rubber meets the road, or I guess where the radiator meets the vacuum. Elon is absolutely right about the energy input. The sun in space is a nuclear fusion reactor that just never turns off. You get constant high-intensity juice. But here's the problem that, at Tesla owners SV and others were hinting at: getting rid of the heat.
Oh, because space is cold, right? Like nearly absolute zero.
Space is cold, yes, but a vacuum is a terrible place to cool things down. I mean, think of a thermos flask. It keeps your coffee hot because of that vacuum layer. A vacuum is a perfect insulator.
Okay.
On Earth, we cheat, we use convection, we blow air over a hot chip, the air absorbs the heat, we move the air away. Simple. In space, there is no air.
So you can't just put a fan on it.
Exactly. You can only get rid of heat through thermal radiation, literally just glowing the heat away as infrared light. This is governed by the Stefan Boltzmann law. It is incredibly inefficient compared to convection. To cool a modern data center rack, you need a massive surface area. So if you put 1 million high-performance H100s up there, you aren't creating a cloud. You're creating 1 million tiny little ovens.
But hold on, let me play devil's advocate for a second. If we look at the merger between SpaceX and xAI, which is now valued at what, 1.25 trillion combined?
Staggering number.
Musk has the launch capability that literally no one else on the planet has. If Starship works as advertised, and he can launch 10,000 times a year, does the math change? Maybe he doesn't need perfect efficiency if he can just brute force the mass up there.
That's the launch is free argument. But the hardware isn't free. An H100 chip costs, what, $30,000 on Earth? In space, you have high-energy cosmic radiation that fries electronics.
Right.
A server on Earth lasts 5 years. In orbit, without some serious shielding, you might get 18 months. So now you have this depreciation disaster. You're launching billions of dollars of silicon just to have it cook itself or get zapped by cosmic rays. It's a CapEx nightmare.
And this is exactly where the feud comes in. Sam Altman isn't buying it at all. We saw that clip circulating from at Nickers Patain where Altman's asked about this orbital plan. He didn't just say it's hard. He just flat out dismissed it.
Yeah.
He said orbital data centers won't contribute meaningful compute to OpenAI in the next 5 years.
And the quote was just icy.
I wish Elon luck.
Which is pure Silicon Valley speak for this is a complete distraction. But you have to ask the second order question here. Is Altman dismissing it because the physics are impossible? Or is he dismissing it because he's terrified? OpenAI is landlocked. They are totally dependent on terrestrial energy grids, which are slow to build, heavily regulated. xAI is trying to just bypass the entire grid.
It's a total divergence in strategy. OpenAI is betting on Software, efficiency, partnerships.
Mm.
XAI is betting on vertical integration and physics.
And the fans are just going wild in the replies, of course.
Of course.
You've got the Musk camp pointing out that Altman isn't an engineer, he's a deal maker. They're saying, well, he missed the boat on reusable rockets. Of course he's missing the boat on this.
And the other side.
The critics are pointing out that Elon promised us 1 million robotaxis by 2020. 10,000 launches a year is a logistical nightmare. That's about 30 launches a day. Can you imagine the air traffic control for that? And the debris field. If just 1% of those satellites fail and collide, you create a debris cloud that could lock us on Earth for a century. The Kessler syndrome.
Oh, that is a terrifying thought. But speaking of massive organizations trying to fix their logistical nightmares, let's pivot from private space to public space. Because NASA is going through a massive shakeup right now.
This is the story of the week for me, the startup-ification of the government.
Exactly. We got this video update from the new NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman. The handle is @NASAadmin. He's been on the job for 50 days, and he is taking a machete to the budget. He claims he's already found over $1 billion in annual savings by cutting bureaucracy.
And you have to remember, Isaacman isn't a bureaucrat. He's the Polaris Dawn guy. A billionaire who has actually gone to space on private missions. He's flown jets. He's built payment companies. He looks at NASA and he sees a bloated corporation that's lost its way.
The visuals in his video were striking.
Yeah.
He had these charts up showing, I think, $1.34 billion in estimated reductions. The whole narrative he's pushing is, we need to stop pushing paper and start pushing to the moon and Mars.
Right.
He's visiting every center, doing town halls. It feels very much like a corporate turnaround, like private equity taking over some legacy brand.
It does. And look, from a taxpayer perspective, hearing efficiency sounds great. Who doesn't want to save $1 billion? But I take the skeptical labor and engineering angle here. When you hear cutting bureaucracy in a safety-critical industry like aerospace, you have to be very, very careful.
You think he's cutting safety?
I think there's a fundamental clash of operating systems happening. Isaacman comes from the commercial sector where you move fast and you break things. If a Starship explodes on the pad during a test, that's just data. It's fine.
Right. But NASA was built on the ashes of Challenger and Columbia. Their bureaucracy isn't just red tape. A lot of it is written in blood. Every form you fill out exists because something failed 40 years ago and somebody died.
That's a very heavy perspective. So when he says inefficiency, he might actually be pointing at redundancy.
Exactly. Redundancy looks like waste when everything is going well. It only looks like safety when things go wrong. He's trying to apply SpaceX velocity to a government agency that is literally designed to be risk-averse. Now, it might work. NASA definitely needs a shakeup. But if he cuts the wrong bureaucrat, he might be cutting the guy who's supposed to check the O-rings.
It's definitely a culture war. You can see it in the replies to his post half. Half the people are cheering for the end of the old guard. The other half are worried about the brain drain. If you fire the guys who know how the systems work, you lose all that institutional memory.
And speaking of institutional memory, or the lack of it, there was that weird little blip in the NASA news cycle today involving conspiracies.
Oh, the @NASA post. Yeah, Bethany Stevens, the NASA spokesperson, she posts a standard update about the ISS and Artemis, and the top reply is this wild accusation that they murdered a whistleblower to hide alien structures on the moon.
Classic internet. But it did feel a little louder than usual.
Well, it shows the pressure NASA is under. They have to manage this massive internal pivot firing people, changing missions, while dealing with the public that is increasingly distrustful of any official narrative. Isaacman isn't just fixing a budget. He's trying to fix a reputation in an era where truth is very malleable.
Which is a perfect segue back down to Earth. Because while the billionaires are fighting over orbit and aliens, there is an absolute gold rush happening for developers right here on the ground.
The picks and shovels of the AI era, this is where the real money is moving right now.
First up, 11 Labs. Andreessen Horowitz at A16, they just dropped a documentary about them. This company. I mean, in 2022, this was a weekend project. By the end of 2025, they hit $330 million in annual recurring revenue.
That is just staggering growth. But let's look at why. It's not just because the voices sound good. It's the latency.
Right, the speed.
For years, voice AI had this pick-two problem. It could be fast, it could be cheap, or it could sound human. Never all three. If you wanted a human-sounding voice, you had to wait like 2 seconds for it to generate. That kills a conversation.
Totally.
11 Labs cracked the latency code. They got it down to sub 400 milliseconds.
And that's the threshold for human perception, isn't it?
Basically, it allows for interruption. That's the key. If you can interrupt the AI and it stops instantly, it feels real. They didn't just build a better voice, they unlocked the interface of the future. You have Deutsche Telekom using them now. It's not just funny memes anymore, it's enterprise infrastructure.
But look at the flip side of this developer war. Look at what XAI is doing with their API. We saw the post from AdSci announcing a replay program. If you spend money on the X API, just great tweets or build bots, you get 20% of that back in credits to use their model, Grok.
Now, this is interesting economic signaling. To me, it smells like a subsidy.
How so?
Well, if you have the best product on the market, you don't need to pay people to use it. You charge a premium for it. This rebate tells me that Grok might not be winning on merit alone right now against GPT-4 or Claude. So they're using the bundling strategy. They're trying to trap developers in their ecosystem by subsidizing the cost. It's a classic flywheel attempt, but it also signals weakness.
That's a sharp take. So you think they're trying to buy loyalty?
It's an aggressive market grab, but contrast that with what Anthropic is doing. We saw the post from at Trio Q2 and 12 about Claude Code. They aren't offering rebates, they're offering workflow changes, this rewind feature.
Oh, this is so cool. So if you're coding with the AI and you go down some rabbit hole that doesn't work, you could hit rewind. But, and here's the kicker, the AI summarizes what you learned from the mistake before you go back.
That is actually useful. It's like time travel, where you get to keep the memories. It changes the psychology of coding. You're not afraid to experiment because the undo button is smarter than you are.
And then you have, at Jared Palmer, at GitHub, introducing stacked diffs. So instead of one massive code update that takes forever to review, it breaks it down into these little layers.
This is huge for anyone who works on a team. If you've ever tried to review a mega PR where someone changes 4,000 lines of code, you just skim it and pray. Stacked diffs forces the AI or the human to show their work step by step. It's not just a feature, it's enforcing better hygiene.
So where does this all lead? I mean, you have Claude throwing $100,000 at a hackathon just to prove their new Opus 4.6 model is the best.
It leads to a lower barrier to entry. We're moving toward a world where coding is really just prompting and architecting. The actual syntax is becoming irrelevant, so the skill ceiling is lowering, which is great for democratization, but it also means the market is about to be flooded with software generated by people who don't really know how it works under the hood.
Which brings us to the vibes segment of the show. Because when anyone can generate anything, things get emotional fast. We have to talk about the dog video.
The dog video, this was heavy.
At Matt Vanswell posted this video. It's titled For Winston. And it's an animation he made using Grok Imagine. It's a Pixar-style tribute to his golden retriever who passed away from cancer.
It has 8,000 likes, and for good reason. I mean, the fidelity is incredible.
He admitted he broke the contest rules. It was supposed to be about the brand, but he just wanted to tell his dog's story. And people are just crying in the replies.
It's interesting. We talk about AI as this cold, sterile thing, but here's a guy using it to process grief. And not just his grief, he shared it. And suddenly, thousands of strangers are connecting over the loss of their own pets.
That's what I mean. It proves AI has soul potential. It's therapeutic. It allowed him to externalize that memory in a way he couldn't have done unless he hired, an animation studio for 50 grand.
True. It's the democratization of art. But I do want to push back on the soul part. There's an ethical question here about the ownership of digital grief. These images were generated by a model trained on millions of other images, other people's art, other people's dogs. And is it healthy? Are we moving toward a world where we replace our lost loved ones with digital avatars that never age and never leave?
I think if it heals, it heals. Why overcomplicate it?
Because eventually that avatar is going to try to sell you dog food. That's the cynical reality of these platforms. But for now, yes, it's a beautiful tribute.
Well, if you want to talk about manipulation, we have to look at the other side of the Grok contest, the political stuff.
At that Skyzian.
Make America Grok again, a utopian animation where McDonald's is on Mars and the political parties are hugging each other.
It's the Super Bowl of AI generation. We are seeing the gamification of political messaging. It's satire, sure, but it's also a preview of the 2028 election cycle. You won't just read a candidate's platform. You'll watch a generated movie of their utopian vision. It's persuasive in a way text never can be.
It's wild. And if the future's too stressful, you could just rewrite the past. Did you see the launch from Y Combinator? At Y Combinator pushed Pax Historia?
I did. It's an AI sandbox where you can change history. What if the Soviet Union survived? What if Rome never fell?
It's got 35,000 daily users already. People are obsessed.
It is the ultimate procrastination tool for the armchair historian, but it's also a data-gathering machine. They are seeing how people think causality works. It's fascinating, but I worry we'll spend so much time simulating the past that we ignore the actual history happening right now.
Well, speaking of history repeating itself, we have to end with our kicker. Because some feuds never die.
Billionaire beef, it's the best kind.
At Eva Fox shared a clip of Elon Musk dunking on Bill Gates. Again,
This is vintage Musk.
he literally said Gates is not strong in the sciences, specifically physics. He was talking about the Tesla semi versus Gates skepticism, but the shade was just palpable.
It's just funny to me. You have these two titans. Gates built the software revolution. Musk is building the hardware revolution. And they're just bickering like school children.
He doesn't understand physics. Ouch.
It just goes to show you can have $100 billion and you still care what the other guy thinks about your truck. Rich guys fighting over who understands physics better, while the rest of us just want a battery that lasts all day.
Amen to that.
Hmm.
So, looking ahead, what does this all mean for tomorrow?
I'm looking at that Winston video. I think we are going to see a flood of AI memorial services launching. People want to memorialize their loved ones, their pets, in high-fidelity animation. It's going to be a massive niche industry by the end of the year.
That's a good call. My prediction's a bit more cynical. With Isaacman cutting NASA budgets and Musk pushing these orbital data centers, I think we are going to see a space real estate bubble form by Q3. People speculators are going to start trying to buy orbital slots or futures on launch capacity, banking on this data center boom. It's going to be the new domain squatting.
Space squatters. You heard it here first.
All right, that's the dive.
Keep your vibes high and your latency low. See you tomorrow.